Hey everybody, Brad Linder back at you again with the Brad Linder Creating Comics Daily Card Show. Going to be doing some more on Godzilla today. I saved this. I was going to do some more last night and go ahead and ink this up, but I left it alone because what I'm going to do is color in the head and shoulders today. That way we got that going on and we knock it out. I'm going to share this over with the page real quick in the channel so everybody can join in. So hang with me just a second while I do that. And then we're going to be all over this thing. So here we go with the page share, and boom, done deal. Okay, now, as I said before, I'm going to get in. We got some people on. I see you guys hanging out. Thank you very much. Mr. Mayor is over there, and Mr. Diego. Hey, buddy. Got some stuff going on with this thing. I'm going to base color it really quick with this light blue that everybody freaked out about last night and asked me about, and I'm just going to color really quick right over this thing because we want to do this head and neck today, and hopefully this chest and shoulder piece down here. And I'm not sure if I'll get it all in because I want to make sure, but I'm going to go ahead and do another after this one. I'm going to go ahead and do another segment on it and finish it up and knock it all out. But as of right now, I'm definitely doing the head and chest today. Hopefully I'm going to get these shoulders in too because I'm going to do this at speed so that we can knock it out. And I know that everybody likes me to go slower and hang out and stuff, which I will be doing today as always. But I just want to get some of this stuff done and knock it out so we can move on to the next one because I've got a couple more big surprises for you guys, and I don't want to spend every day of this week on just Godzilla as much as Godzilla would be fun, because I've got about 4 hours into this thing total from start to finish with the pencils and the coloring, and it is 11 by 17. It is a massive piece, and I just want to get everything moving forward so we can get on to the next one and keep you guys entertained here. I don't want to spend too long on it, but you know, 4 hours in an 11 by 17 page at full color. This is about, I guess, about maybe 75–80% of the page, which most guys spend anywhere from 8 to 10 hours on a page during a day, and I do an average of 3 to 5. And the reason I do that is because I'm not bragging by any means. I get griped at by professionals, quote-unquote professionals, all the time, saying that I go too fast and that I'm, you know, making them look bad and whatnot. And that's not so. I'm not trying to make you look bad by being fast. You know, I just happen to be, and I'm cool with that. But it's not about competing with me. It's about getting your speed up. So if you're upset with that, I don't know what to tell you other than the fact that I'm sorry you feel that way. But don't blame me for that because, you know, it's all about your personal speed and the time and effort and discipline you put in. So, you know, you can speed up and get faster. It's just about the processes you use and the strategy and discipline. And for me, it's all about getting in and getting determined and getting my focus going and nailing this stuff out. And, you know, as you can see here, I'm really going at this. So that's one of the things I do is just get in there, have a pattern, have a structure, and go for it. And knowing my color schemes and knowing the colors that I'm working with, as you can see, I'm still pulling out some of that graphite as a side note. But as a strategy for this, I go in and lay out my color palette. I mean, I'll stop for a second. Hopefully I won't spill them all over the floor. That would be great. I've got my rack of colors here that are specifically selected for this because these are the colors from the head here that I pulled last night. And I've got them in a tray. And this is what I do right here off the corner of my desk. So I have that set up. And, you know, when I go in and do this stuff, I have a plan, you know, and that's the big thing to do. And I do that in marketing and in art the same way. I go in with a strategy, know what I'm going to do before I do it, pull the information that I need, pull the elements that I need, and I go out and get it done. I don't play around with it because if you play around with it too much, that's when you start to get into trouble, you know? I mean, seriously. And it happens far too often. And I see kids coming up and they're going, I want to draw comic books. Well, great. What have you done to get to, draw better? Well, I want to draw better, but I don't have time. I might draw 1 or 2 hours a week. Well, I'm sorry, but as a craft in anything, 1 to 2 hours a week is not enough. It's not sufficient. You're not going to do it. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news there. And that's normally I'm the most optimistic person around as far as that goes, because I keep very upbeat about that stuff and I'm very motivational. But the reality check is it's more about results for me than about fluffing your personal ego. We've got to get in there and say, okay, this is where it's at. I'm not going to puff you up like, you're going to be a prize winning, queen of the ball, or, one of these pageant queens or whatever. You can't do that on an hour worth of work a day. If you're doing less than a page a day, you're not putting in full effort for being a comic artist. Same thing with marketing. If you're not putting in at least 5 or 6 hours in a day with some kind of evolution for your work, you're not going to progress. It's just not going to happen. Because these guys, it's like, well, these guys pop up and so-and-so's name is up at the top and he's, supposed to be super rich and the best of the best and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, it took him 20 years to get that. It's like Brian Bendis says in the Daredevil special features a video, if you ever saw that. Excuse my sniffles, my allergies. But the big thing is he says flat out, he goes, yeah, it's a 25-year, it's a 20-year overnight success. And the reason is because of the fact that you have to put in all the grunt work and all the buildup for that. And then one day it all clicks. I've been doing this since I was 4 or 5 years old, drawing like this. And I've built it up to where it went from copying my favorite coloring book and comic books, up to this. I mean, everybody starts out with, some form of look and draw, and that's how you learn, because that's what your brain picks up by drawing what you see. And that's fundamental art training. But if you have an aptitude for it, you can start creating this stuff on your own. Same thing with your marketing. If you can get a mindset about it, you can really tear it up. But so many people get wound up in the details, and it's like a snake going around them. It's like a boa constrictor or a python getting a hold of them and hanging on for dear life. Then they feed it with all their fear and anxiety, and they end up turning it into an anaconda without even realizing. I mean, that happens quite often. So you got to understand where you're at with that and keep moving forward, because you'll choke yourself out, literally. I see people do it all the time. It's like, well, I want to be a professional artist and I can't do that because of this, that, and the other. Well, why? What's the last thing you drew? I did a piece last week. Oh, really? Okay, cool. So you're not an artist anymore. What? What do you mean I'm not an artist anymore? Hey, man, that's mean. No, it's true. If you didn't draw today, you're not an artist today. I'm sorry. If you didn't write today, you're not a writer today. If you didn't market today, you're not a marketer today. It happens. It's okay. It really is. That's your choice. Pick it back up and be a marketer tomorrow. And you can do that by going in and picking up a project and getting it started, posting an article, posting a video, posting a whatever, posting a sketch like this, So it's just a matter of what you want to do with it and how far you're willing to go. And so many people don't get that going on. And yes, I'm on the soapbox about this today, but it's all with the best of intentions. I mean, it sounds harsh, but the practical aspect of it is, if you're going to draw and you're going to make a career of this, what do you have to do with the career? Plain and simple, hands down, what do you have to do with your career? Yeah, you got a job 40 hours a week. You got a plus in most cases. You got to be there to get that paycheck, right? Well, same thing you got to do here. If you're not putting in a minimum of 40 hours a week in comparison to what you're doing to your day job with what you want to do for your dream, you're not putting in enough time. You're really not. And I hate to be, the bearer of bad news there, but it's 100% true. If you're not, you're not. Plain and simple. And so many people get ticked off at me for saying that, but it's true. It is 100% true. If you're not making what money you want to make, you're not making the effort and the art to do it, and you're not making the money to do it. You're not making the work to do it. You're not making the progress to do it. And it's plain and simple. And so many people are out there like, oh, buy my box, and buy my box of stuff, and you'll be rich and beyond your wildest dreams and stuff. I sell courses like that too. I've got a bunch of stuff coming out, and the thing is, it's legitimate. It'll get you to the top ranks of YouTube where I'm at. It'll get you to the top ranks of LinkedIn where I'm at. It'll get you to the top ranks of wherever you want to go and do whatever you want to do with specifically in that package. It'll also, I've got art courses that I sell. I can teach you how to draw comic books, and I can teach you how to get that stuff out there. But the problem is 99% of the people that get a hold of these things don't do anything with it. If you don't put in the effort, the base effort, you will not make it successful, period, no matter what you do, no matter what you try. Hands down, if you're not doing the effort and matching your day job with as many hours at the table as you are at that job clocking in, you're not an artist that's going to be a professional level. You're just not, because you're not putting in the time and the effort to make it happen. I mean, you got to be able to draw and draw quick and draw stable and draw quality work and kick it all out all in one foul swoop. And that's what makes the difference in one versus the other. I hear these independent guys all the time come up and tell me, hey man, you draw so fast. How do you draw and put that stuff out and still work? It's because it is my work. It's part of what I do. I put all the effort into this, so I don't have to have an outside job because of that, man. I make this stuff happen and I kick it out. I don't have to work a day job and support stuff because of the fact of this, being in the way and whatever and working with that. I'm in business for myself and I love it. And, whether it is full-on comics or whether it's, marketing or whatever it is that I'm doing, it's one of those things that I've been very blessed with, and I hammer it out. But you know what? I've earned every ounce of it. And it's because of the fact that I bust my butt every day. So with that said, let's keep it light and get back into this and move on so we can start getting him knocked out. But, stepping off the soapbox here. But yeah, man, get in there, produce, knock it out, knock it out. If you're not drawing today, you're not an artist today. I'm sorry, you're not. You were an artist yesterday because you drew something, but you're not today. And I know that's harsh. That's the reality of it, and that's where we're at. So get in there and do something. If that's not motivation for you to be an artist every day because of the fact that you are an artist because you draw and prove you can, maybe you're not in the right spot. Same thing if you're in business. If you're not doing something every day to make that red line move forward and stay away from that red side and get into the black for your business, maybe you're doing the wrong thing. So it's a key thing to think about, and get on there and get active. Get on there and get active. That's what I say. Do it. Plain and simple. And for anybody that says they can't do it, I'm sorry, but 30 minutes every day for a year, I've been doing this minimum 30 minutes a day for every day for a year, and then I still do all my other work on top of it. So if you can't do 30 minutes a day minimum, then you're not going to have it. I mean, if you're doing an hour or so a week to do a drawing once a week, you're not making it happen. You're really not. And like I said before, I'm not trying to be harsh about it, but reality is reality. So, make sure you get in there and do the work. Now, you may not be able to see this because I'm moving pretty quick, but I am doing this in designs and patterns and in select places, not all over, not everywhere. I'm doing it just in key places. And the reason I'm adding this in key places, just like I did on the head, I want to have this green pop out and overpower that blue to make that mother of pearl effect like I was talking about yesterday, because I want to make sure that all this comes out and goes to fruition. So I'm hammering this out really quick here. And no, this is not a time lapse. This is live. So we have all this going on, coming up. Boom, boom, boom. Very quickly. Trying to get each individual place here. And I am skipping over some of them over the hard lines and going across the black to get some masses done. If it's like a light line across them, you know, in one area, I'll go ahead and coat that. But I like to keep it moving like this. Very simple, very clean. Going to each one of them. And got to be cautious about where I put this here, because I'm getting into the tiles here of the arm for the turtle skin, which is a little different. So we got to watch that. But for the most part, his green's already down, so we're good. This is that green highlight that adds that yellowish green effect when you look at him in certain angles. And that's what we want. We want it to hit certain light points, because he'll come to life really fast with this stuff. Now I'm going to go into this chest just a little bit. Pop these in like this. Like that. I'm going to have to sharpen that in a minute. It's getting kind of down on there. Okay, cool. Now, hope you guys can see that okay. Hi, Jackie. Thank you for making it. I appreciate it. I know I'm on early today. Pretty cool. Okay. Now I'm going back in with this teal color. And if you heard that duck honk over there, that's my daughter. She's she's homeschooled, so she hangs out in the office with me sometimes during the day. And yeah, that was her sneezing. Bless you. But anyway, back to this. See, that proves it. We're live, man. But I'm just kind of adding this to the other side of the green here. I'm going on the other side of the green, one side or the other, depending on where I hit it, to match up the light. So we have all that going on. And lighting this in really well, so it shows up. Just kind of whipping it in there real quick. And I gotta go on and do this jaw here. And remember, we want this just to show up kind of, like I said, mother of pearl, where we mix it into one side. We have the heavy green on one side. We start to shadow with this color on another, to add in that other element of it without wiping it all out, putting in those shadowed scales there. That's what I'm going for there. Right off the end of these, like that. Now I'll try to work down these lines here so we can add a shadow, a drop shadow on either side of those. And pop that in like that. Cool deal. I'm going to round these parts out just a little. Now I'm going to go back over here. And on the inside of this green here, I'm going to pop in this blue aspect just on that side, so it shows the curvature. Because when you do this, it shows the curvature of the piece and gives it an illusion of depth. And nobody does that, and it just drives me crazy. It's like, go in there, put in a third color, and just break it up. You know, you have your base color, you have your highlight color, you have a shadow color. That's where people stop, instead of putting in a different shadow color or a different skew color to break it up. And it gives it that curve where it still looks like it has that ridge as well. Because see these ridges going through here, right here. When you add in that color, I'm going to do these two down here. But when you add in these colors like this, it adds that curvature and gives the light a break, rather than you having to physically line it out throughout the whole thing. So give that color a chance to work in there so that it pops out and does the work for you. It's an amazing technique. You know, it's an amazing feat to see that happen, because what will happen is it'll pop out and it'll start to show a curvature. See, now it's got a dimension to it where it's starting to segment within itself from the color. And when you do that, it pulls it off the page and gives you that element of depth that you really need for this kind of work. So that's what we're at right now. Now I'm putting in a top shadow here to show the segments for each piece, and it just adds that extra little notch to it as it goes down. See, that's something that not everything has. Going to go in certain waves here. Now I'm doing a kind of a serpentine pattern. It's definitely off center for a reason, because I don't want it to hit the same way everywhere. But on these strips in his neck, I'm doing kind of a serpentine type of pattern to break it up and add the color throughout. So we have that going on. So bear with me on that. Now I'm going to put a lot more across here because this has a lot of folds and it's a little bit different skin texture and a little bit darker. So I'm going in on a lot more of these this way. And I am laying these strategically, so I'm not laying it down just to lay it down. I really am putting this in place. You may not be able to see it right on the camera right now, but when the piece is finished and I do a good scan of it, you guys will be able to see a lot more of this detail. So there we go with that. Got some color dust on the page. I want to get that off there so it doesn't break down and smudge. And darken up these soft segments in between these plates. I got the higher ground on the chest. These are flex plates. These are hard, almost calloused or bony plates, calcium type plates. And then in the center, it's got a softer turtle skin type of segment. So we've got that going on. I'm going to put some more of that in there to darken it up just a little bit. And then I'll darken that up as we go along. But I wanted to get through this shoulder and chest, but right now I'm trying to get the neck and shoulder in. We'll see where it goes from there. Got some graphite right there that I'm going to pick up. So I want to get that out of the way because I'm smudging it with my hand, and I know I don't want to have that problem go on. So go ahead and get those two tiles right now. Anyway, that way that'll set. But I'm going to grab in the lighter green and the lighter blue. I'm going to start to darken this up a little bit in this next set and pull this out. So we have that going on. You can start to see all of it grinding together. You'll see the dust come up a little more, and that's okay. They do that. Just blow it off and gently wipe it, preferably with a paper towel, and dust it rather than wiping it all off, because if you wipe it off before your art's finished, you will smudge it everywhere and it'll make little streaks off of your picture. You don't want to do that. So keep that in mind. I'm coloring in some more of these edges here and bringing up the powerful green Godzilla that we know, just like the head. Kind of darkening this up a little bit. Not too much though, not everywhere, just kind of touching on it, building up the shadow work. And that's the big thing. You know, just touching on it and building up the shadow work. Now I want these to look a little brighter and a little softer than the rest of it, because I want it to look like turtle skin in the light. So that's a light source here. We got a light source coming back over this way, and we've got one coming from the back of his head, which you can't see. That's why all of this is dimmed down. So that's for that. I'm going to put my hand guard up here. Let's see. Let me get this going on. Now I'm not going to do the center of the neck till this side is done, because I want to make sure, again, that serpentine pattern in the opposite way of the blue. Excuse my sniffles. Man, my allergies are driving me bonkers today. I'm going to have to take some antihistamines after this, apparently. Okay. Whoops. The cool thing about coloring with pencils is you can erase this stuff when you make a mistake, which that's a blessing. Believe it or not, that really is. Oh my goodness. I find it very, very cool to be able to erase this stuff and go through it and change it when I want to. Because sometimes, you know, once you get in there, you realize a color doesn't work the same way, and you may have to go in and erase it. I've been doing this long enough that I really don't have a lot of that. But once in a while, I'll see a color and I'll just be like, dang, that really doesn't work. And I don't want to use it, and I don't. I'll go back and take it out. Now what I'm doing here is I'm blocking this kind of like a sideways B, like a face down B, because I'm curving this on the bottom and then going through the middle here and boxing these in. And that's the pattern that I'm using right here to color up these scales so I don't mess it up. I'm just kind of outlining everything and then rounding out the bottom. And the reason I do that is because it gives it that force perspective in the coloring of it changing courses and direction, which is really, really cool. I want to make sure I have enough of a tip here to finish this up, or if I need to go ahead and see about sharpening it real quick, but I can make it. So going on the dark side here, putting in the shadow. I'm going to do this side first because the heavy shadow is right here where he's turning his neck and all of his weight's on this side. So that's where we had the most shadow come in, from this side of the neck. And now we have the underside from the backlighting go this way and leaves it all open. Nice, cool deal. Now I'm going to go down here and get this all done up. Cool. We are one step further in the evolution of our Godzilla picture. So we are cool here. I'm going to put this down on the bottom, kind of shade this up, shade these in just a little bit, these little ridges on his jaw. I want to put a kind of a darker spot there to warm that up, give it a little more life. And then at random, I'm not going to do them all, I'm doing them at random, kind of darkening up these fins here. So we have that going on and matching right up and blending into the face. So awesome. Now I'm going to go in here and grab yet another color. I'm going to grab my dark green here, super dark, and then I'm going to grab this olive green, which I told you about yesterday, if you saw that one, about how all this plays together. Okay, so you know, I'm glad to be back in the middle of the day, Jackie. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate that. I'm normally on between the 3 and 4 o'clock hour, or 3 and 5 o'clock hour in the evening, the PM hours. But as of late, I've been so busy with everything going on that I've been slacking off and doing them later in the evening, because that seems to be when everybody catches it, is in the morning. And I like putting them out there for everybody to see in the morning, and that's what they get to wake up to in their feeds, and they tend to like it a little more. But as I'm coming into my third podcast, about to go live here pretty quick, and they're going live all at once. It's going to be Comic Kickstarter, which I've been talking about off and on, and then the other two, which are coming out, which I don't want to really reveal those just yet, with the comic books and the marketing stuff. It's going to be pretty intense. You know, we're going to have a lot going on, and I've got better hours now to where I can produce this stuff. I've arranged my schedule to where I record later at night because it's just easier, and it's a better time zone for me to work in for that, and I don't have the hustle and bustle of the day. And then drawing this stuff during the day in the middle of stuff is easier than drawing later at night, because once I put in 3 or 4 pages a day, you know, it's a little intense and it's a little labor intensive. unlike doing a podcast, which is me talking into a microphone, and it's easy to talk because I'm a talker anyway, but it's easy to talk. And, the physical strain of doing 3 to 5 pages a day and then coming in and doing one of these during my off hours is getting to where it's wearing a little thin, because these take so much time to set up, to get the card ready, to get the concept ready, to get a different approach ready, and all that good stuff. And I love doing these, and I'm not going to stop. It's just I want to get a better timetable, so I'm going back to that midday type of scheduling, so I don't have to worry about it. And so you guys get to see me more actually live during the day. It's pretty cool. I'll be doing my podcast and stuff, and then this is coming along. So we've got all that going on. Busy guy, busy time. I'm a man that hits the ground running every day. I don't have time to play around. And by playing around, I mean literally wasting time. I don't do that. So I keep my clock wound pretty tight. So I don't have to hustle and bustle with that. But as we can see now, I'm adding in this this olive color like I told you guys about. And I'm going straight in over some of this, just in areas to offset the color just a little bit, because it's a great coating color to warm up any kind of a reptilian skin and make it look like that leatherback skin that they actually have. Now, as you can see, I'm grinding away on this, and I'm even shaking the table here because I'm really laying this on. But it is so cool, the effect that it causes when all this comes down and around. So I'm going to blend this together with a stripe down through here to break this up. And it doesn't matter where it lands on that back ridge. Like right in here, it'll land on this, and I'll just move it serpentine style, and wherever it lands is where it lands. And the reason I do that is because the strategy of putting it in that way is to make it peek out to where the colors show in random spots, and that's the way to make it happen in straight lines like that. But in these bigger segments, you definitely want to lay it down to where it has a form to it, like a spot here and a spot here, that kind of thing. And then go on this outside edge where everything comes together, and you can put a little bit that way too to kind of hit it all and bring it together. So now I'm on the face here with this. I'm going to hit this, kind of hit these dark shadow spots. And what I'm doing is running really quick on one side of the line so that it hits just a little bit here and there, like a shadow reflection. And then you go back in on this side and hit it from that side as well. And just put random spots right in the folds, and it'll pull it together. I'm going to put a good spot right there, little spot there, little spot there. And now we've got it all laced up to where it's even throughout. So now that I've done these neck segments, I'm going to go down and do this chest area and pull it in a little bit so it matches up. It's kind of adding a line right through, a spot here, a spot here. That way we have it go overall and it's universal. Now I'm going to go back in with the dark green down here, and I'm going to pop in a little more here and there, because I want to add a couple of darker spots, like along this shadow line where his neck would turn. That would be the seam where his neck and his shoulder meet. So we want a little bit of a shadow there, because there's a fold in there where that skin and extra scaling for the rest of that side is. Now I'm going to grab up my gray here, and I'm going to I want to make sure I've got the right one here, because this is the light one. I want to make sure I've got the dark one. I'm just going to kind of scribble over like I did last night. And this is so open, I can do just about anywhere on this, because this is just to mix a little gray into it to mute things down just a little bit like I did last night with the face. I just have to keep consistently with the line so that it doesn't go wonky all over the place. And the thing is to hold a rhythm with this, okay? And what I mean by that is keep your stridation. When you have a rhythm, when you're doing something, you start off this way, and if you start off this way, keep it going this way. Don't go like this and break up your lines. Keep it consistent like that, and that's what I'm doing across this page, very lightly. So I'm just putting a coating across here. So I'm catching the tread. Now I'm in it. So now I can go back across here and move up throughout. And I'm watching that line very closely so that I keep the coating pretty even so that we get it all even through there. And now I can go back over this and color this in a little bit like that. Add a little gray to it. So there we go. Cool deal. Now we got the next part coming in, which is my absolute favorite. Got the dark blue going down. This will add that iguana aquatic feel to it, right along the edges of stuff. Okay, just a little bit, not heavy, because you don't want to turn him blue. But just like I did up in the head, you want to add just enough to make a shadow pop out. And pull it together and make each segment kind of look like it's got a little more warmth and life to it. I'm going to pop some of this in this jaw here so we don't miss a lot of that. And the reason I didn't do the heavy gray, by the way, you may have noticed I didn't do the heavy gray on this side of the jaw. The reason I don't is because I want that to stay a highlight point right in here. I want that to stay a focal point. So I didn't add in the blue. I know a lot of you guys will be watching and busting me on that later. You didn't put in the gray and the blue on the face. You didn't fill it in. Well, the reason I didn't do that is because I didn't want it to wash out. Okay, I don't want it to have too many heavy shadows on the face because that's a focal point. Just like this shoulder is a focal point, and I'm keeping it a little bit lighter than the rest of it. The reason is because we need that light to go through the page. Because you see how the head goes this way, right? It goes boom, there's his nose, there's his eye, there's his jaw, and then there's this line right here or right here or right here that leads you down through. And then that scale section in the middle pushes you over on that side to get you go down to the chest and then flow out. And then you flow out through his hands. But there's also two other paths that keep you going from that. So you come in through the eye, you go into the jaw, you come down around off the chin point, and you go down through the shoulder, and it leads you back down through the hand through the same point right off the page. Then you have this back point that goes out here off the shoulder, around the outside edge, through the claws, and then out the hand again. Same thing, same exact thing. And if you look at the optical illusion of the pattern, most people would look at it and go, if you break it down, I've had people do this, and most people will look at it and go, well, you got the spines going this way, so you're leading them the wrong direction out of the page off the tip of the tongue. But the thing is, it's not. The way it flows, because of Godzilla's energy, and anybody that knows the character, he charges up from his spines up to his throat and then shoots out the fire, right? So we actually have a flow point here that goes down this way and back up into his face, which takes you down through that path back off. So it's like up and then down the roller coaster. And that's why this is so exciting, and that's why it gives you that perspective that it does, and it really takes off and says, okay, wow, that's a great shot. Now, I don't like giving up those secrets, but it's true. It is true. And we're making comics here. You know, the show is called Creating Comics, and I just want to let you guys know that, you know, this is why these things work. And the top artists that you follow, they know graphic design, and they know composition, and they know visual planting, okay? This is called visual seeding. And what they're doing is they're giving you the ideas for your mind's eyes to extrapolate what you need to see to get through the page visually. It's just like the old reverse, you know, the Z pattern on a comic book page, or called the reverse S. as it's commonly known. For some reason, they called it the reverse S instead of the Z pattern, which I don't know. But you know, through a comic book page, you start left to right, boom, 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 boom. You read like this, back and forth, left to right, in the Western style. So art tends to flow that way. I mean, you'll see a page and you'll see, you know, this person looking this way. This person will be looking in and down, and it'll go doom, 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 doom that way through the page. So you'll, for an example, oh my goodness, my sinus is going to come in today. My allergies and stuff are just tearing me up. But anyway, we have a starting point here. We go boom, 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 boom through the page, and you're off to the next. And that's called page flow, okay? So if you have that, we can do that same thing in composition drawings. So he charges up, gets all ticked off, opens up his mouth, then you have the flow going on to see the rest of it, and it floats you down and off to the next page to see what's going to happen. I do that with all my art. And the reason I do that is because of the fact that I want you to go through the page and flow so that you don't have to worry about it. Whenever you see everything, you're going to be going, wow, and you're going to be moving in motion. And like I've said before many times, if you can make a drawing in motion while standing static and standing still and cause the eye to move through it, you got them. You got them. And I dare any artist to try that and not make it happen. That's what Todd McFarlane's so known for, is because of the fact that the dude has so much going on in every panel that he does. And it's because something's moving constantly, whether it be a fire, whether it be, you know, Spidey can be down on his hands and knees, having his butt kicked, and somebody standing over and fixing to ruin him. And what makes it so dramatic is he'll use the effect of water or something crazy like that. So you just have to figure out what's going on and go from there, you know? And that's the way it works. So make it flow through the page, and then you won't have that problem. I like to do this because of the fact that it makes it extremely intense with the character to see it like that. Let's see. Hi, Angelica. Thanks for making it. I appreciate it. Now we're going to get into this purple and really start having some fun with this, because remember how I did the purple before? The dark blue brought it out, and then the purple in the face, and everybody was like, wow, that was cool. Why'd you put the purple in there? Same thing here. Same thing here. We're going to put in some purple, and I'm going to edge it in very softly here. And like I said, it's just going to kind of put in that oomph and that unexpected pop of color, and everybody's going to be kind of wondering what it is, you know. And like I said, very soft, very subtle. Don't go in crazy with it. Matter of fact, I need to turn to a darker purple because I don't want that to walk all over the place. Bear with me a second while I grab that, because that's a little lighter than what I want. So I'm going to go in and darken that up. There we go. Cool deal. It was a little lighter than what I wanted, so I'm going to go back in and color that down. There we go. Now I'm using the purple here to show the ridges in the neck, okay? And what that does is it shows the weight of the shadow that makes up that character's body line. And I'm going underneath the edge of the jaw here because I want this to kind of bow out and create a really cool look as well. So we can have that going on. And then the shoulder fold here, right up in the collar, not the shoulder fold, but the collar fold, the neck fold. I'm going to put that right in here. And then in the shoulder fold, I'll do the same thing where it's dark that way. So we won't have that problem right here, because this is a raised ridge kind of look in between. So we're going to go right down here, and I'm going to kind of, I'll flesh this out a little more as I go along, but right now I'll just kind of pop in this shadow for the weight so we can see that going on. Okay, pop in a couple of these at random so we can see this going on that way. Get this crease down here a little bit off this collarbone, and get this one right over here to separate that collarbone from the shoulder a little bit like that, and the back top of that arm. And I can hear the train going by out down the street. That thing's like a mile away, but we have the track so close, as it comes by, we can hear it. That's awesome. I used to love those things when I was a kid. Okay, adding that kind of mother of pearl type of effect to the line there. So now we've got that neck sunk in a little bit, but it's still popping out in joints to give you horrendous amounts of vibrant color, and that's what we want. And then we've got the shadowed effect over here. If you see now, he's got kind of a shadow under his chin where his face is heading out, so to give it all that weight coming forward like we want. Now we've got to color up this side just a little bit. And because it's a streamlined shadow, we can go all the way down. We don't have to do them individually. And then we go back and we cut the individual shadow line on the other side for the segments, so it shows that way, like that. There we go. Cool deal. And I'm going to give it another highlight by breaking it up, by coming around. This is like a sideways 9 right here. It's got a circle right here, and it's got the stem off the bottom. I did that everywhere right here, so you guys can see more of the shape of the pattern that I'm using, like that. It's like a 9 on the side right there. And the reason I'm doing that is to give that peak highlight on the back side, but still give this prominent shadow for the neck. So now right along this interior ridge of this segment on the back, I'm going to give a shadow on one side of it because these fins are sticking out. These scales are sticking out over the edge, and there's a deep shadow right in here. So I'll shadow that down, and it'll make that pop out and look more three-dimensional that way, because it'll give that shadow and then the highlight on the other side. So we've got that. Now I'm going to come down in here, and I'm going to do each one of these little shells for these soft shell turtle skin type of marks on his shoulder here, like this, and just give them a pop of shadow. Boom, 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 boom. Done. Very easily done. No biggie. We got the shadow on this side, so we run it through the lower third like that. Just a line across. Wherever you have the deep shadow is what you do with the purple. You run over that on top of it, and it'll bring it out and solidify it to give it that reptilian type of skin look. So right through the ridge there. Now putting a line of shadow on here. And I'm putting this down, man. I mean, this is pretty heavy purple. But because of the way we blended the colors, we don't have to really worry about it. And now I'm going to do these soft panels over here for the shoulder. And I'm doing a tight scribble back and forth because I'm doing a really tight line motion like this. I had to get it into it. There you go, like that. And that's what I'm doing right here as I go across, because it blends it without having to blend it. So, and I know I'm shaking the table here, but I'm really laying this into the color because there's so much color going on this page. We've already got 4 or 5 different colors laid down here, so I'm really stacking it on there. Okay. And now I'm going to walk back through here and give some more shadows here and there at random so that stuff shines up. And I'll get the bottom section of this shadow on the chin, just the bottom section. I don't want to do any more than that right there across that bottom ridge, because that's all we need right there. And then just a little bit right over here off these scales to kind of blend that together and bring it forward. And right here off these back cheeks, off that where his mandible would be, put a shadow there, and put just a little bit of a ridge line under each of these. And I know you probably can't see this online right now, but I wanted to show that just for sake of showing it because of the breaks that the shadow gives. Now across this bottom lip, right across the seam where it folds down for the lip itself, I'm going to give just a bit of a purple underline. And that shows that turn in for the mouth. So there we go. He is popping. He is popping. Really digging it. So now I have to go over and grab this last little bit of penciling to be inked, and then I'm going to flesh this sucker out. I'll do this today so that we can come back in the last section and do this thing and flesh it out one more time, and we'll hang out and finish it up. And then I might have a surprise or two for you, because I've got a background idea. I had one that kind of got spoiled, but I've moved on to another idea now that I'm not going to reveal just yet, and I think that we're going to pop this into this one, or we may finish it up and decide to keep it this way. I don't know. I'm hoping to bring it all together, but the next piece is laying over here to the side of me for the next section after this one, and I need to get it going, so it's a big piece too, and I want to get into it. But as always, thanks for hanging out with me, you guys. I appreciate it. I hope you learned a lot with this thing, at least something, at least you were entertained. And as always, we have this world for just a limited amount of time, and let's make it rock for the next generation. Do something to start that today. Talk to you later.